Now we're on to the final lecture of your basic Excel tutorial. So far, we've covered some of the absolute fundamentals, namely what is a spreadsheet, what is a cell, cell addresses, and some basic functions, sum, average, min, max, and concatenate, as well as a few tips and tricks, for example, dragging across cells to highlight them in function arguments, and dragging cells from the bottom right to copy their contents or formula structures. Now we're going to be using VLookup, which is very useful and is actually used a lot in the workplace. So the VLookup function is unlike sum and average. It's not something used for calculation, it's used for searching. So what it actually does is if you have a value that you want to find in a spreadsheet and some corresponding data that's associated with it, you could use the VLookup. For this example, we have a list of ID numbers, student ID numbers, and the corresponding grade of that student. But let's imagine that this list was 500 students long. If we wanted to find the grade of student ID number 6941, it could be very difficult and tedious to manually search through that list to see what grade they had. So that's why we use VLookups. So let's pick a different student. Let's go 4487. I'm going to copy that value to cell D1. So for the VLookup, we know that we're looking for the grade of student ID number 4487. And the function is as follows: equals VLookup, open parenthesis. And now this kind of tip bar that Excel gives us becomes a lot more useful because the function arguments and structure isn't as straightforward as sum, average, and the rest. So we see that the first value here is the lookup value, and that's pretty self-explanatory. That's the value that we're searching for within our table or our data set. So that's going to be the ID number, which is stored in D1, that's cell address, right? So equals VLookup, open parenthesis, D1, hit the comma, and we can see that Excel's highlight has shifted to the next argument, which is a table array. And that's going to be the actual table or the data set that we are searching within. So now we're here, we know we can highlight A1 to B11 to recognize that's the data we're searching within, the table we're searching within, hit the comma. We've now moved to the column index number, and this is going to be the column that returns the value we're looking for. So while we're searching for ID number 4487, what we actually want from Excel is the grade associated with that ID number, which is stored in the second column. And for that reason, the column index number is 2. Hit the comma, and on to the final argument. It's true or false. If we're not sure exactly what we're looking for, we can enter true, and that will return an approximate match. But since we're working with ID numbers and we know exactly who we're looking for, we'll enter false. Close parentheses. And if all goes well, we should return a B. So I hit enter, and we see that Excel, as noted, that student ID number 4487 returns a B. So one more time quickly, because I know this is a little more complicated. The structure of the VLookup is as follows: equals VLookup, then you have the lookup value, which is the cell address of whatever data you're looking for. So that's ID number 4487 stored in D1. So D1, comma, the table array, which is the data set that we're searching within. In our case, it's A1 to B11. The column index number, which is the column that the data we're looking for is stored within. We're looking for a grade, which is in the second column of the table we highlighted previously. And then the range lookup, if we're looking for an approximate match or an exact match, we're looking for an exact match. So we enter false, we hit enter, and we see that student ID number 4487 received a B.